I've been reading a lot about the back and forth in Washington and in Albany about the changes to SNAP or food stamps. I've also been fortunate enough to meet so many SNAP recipients and tell their stories, hear what they're going through as they struggle with lower monthly benefits, and see how hard it is to make ends meet. We begin the show with one of these up close and personal stories.
Why these didn't last.
You have to wonder how many seniors are living out their twilight years like Shila Boyd in the Bronx.
I've been fortunate enough to have some friends who contributed food.
An 81-year-old single divorcee with no kids, no family support system, surviving on Social Security, and now a drastically reduced monthly check from SNAP, commonly referred to as food stamps. Shila, even with a lot of help, is still barely making ends meet. What percentage of everything that's in your fridge and everything that's in your cabinets would you say has been donated to you?
All this has been donated.
It wasn't always like this. Up until February of this year, Shila's SNAP benefits amounted to $298 a month, enough, she says, to handle a modest grocery bill. What did dinner used to look like?
Chicken, vegetables, sweet potatoes, just
a well-rounded meal.
A well-rounded meal.
But then in March, Shila's SNAP...
She's 81 years old. She's 81 years old. She looks great for 81 years old. And she looks really fit. I guess you can probably account her being fit for what she says is her lack of food. Have some things I want to address, but they said that she's 81 years old. She's divorced. And she's living in the Bronx in New York. So in my mind, this is key information here. I can think of a few things, but I want to get a little bit more context before I really go in depth with what my thoughts are. So before we get back into it, y'all, if you could like the video, I greatly appreciate it. It only takes a second and it actually helps out more than you know. And also if you could hype, but definitely if you could like, it's only a click. It's only a click. So if you're here anyway, go ahead and click that like button.
Vegetables, sweet potatoes, just
a well-rounded meal.
A well-rounded meal.
But then in March, Shila's SNAP benefits underwent a budget recalculation that specifically used her gross Social Security benefit, not the lower net amount she actually received into her bank account every month. The result?
I received
Oh, so they're saying that she's saying that, I guess the problem is that when SNAP is calculating what she's supposed to receive, they're going off her gross income and not her net income, which that is the norm. That is the norm. I always find it funny how people start getting up in arms when things actually personally affect them, because this has been affecting men forever. I highly doubt she would have been complaining. They said she's a divorcee. I highly doubt she would have been complaining if when the judge was factoring the alimony she was supposed to get, if she wasn't working, when they factored the alimony she's supposed to get, I highly doubt she would have cared if they would have factored it off her ex-husband's gross income, but then took it directly out of his net income. This has always been a thing. This is how child support works. And that's why brothers get on child support. They're like, how am I supposed to live? Because they factor the calculation for child support off of men's gross income, and then it gets taken from their net income. The calculation is factored off the gross, but then it gets completely and absolutely depleted from their net. And this has been an issue for a long time that we don't address. But now when it comes down to this situation where we're talking about, let's be honest, free money. And I think she should get it. She's elderly. I think she should get it. She's 81. I definitely think that she passes the elderly test. But what we also got to address, see, people will want to just put it on one person. No, you got to put this on the millions of people. And by millions of people, I mean all the millions of... Listen, man, you shouldn't be mad at Trump, in my opinion. You should be mad whenever you see an able-bodied young person with no kids or making decisions to have kids, an outrageous amount of kids, you should be mad when you see them getting benefits that you should be receiving. Because that's why all these regulations have had to go into place. But ultimately, them doing that with net income, the net income, gross income dilemma, as far as how they like to factor things in the eyes of the law, that has been a dilemma for a long time. And I know you done seen it in your 81 years of life. So I wish you would have been advocating against that before, and then you could have had a stronger case when now it comes in front of you, in my opinion.
Count every month. The result?
I received benefits, and I was told it was going to be $24 a month from $298. I can't buy nutritious food. Who lives on $24 a month?
Shila says these days,
I need more money to eat.
her dinners are not what they used to be.
I'm working on it.
Are there some nights that you have been skipping dinner?
Yeah.
I mean, Shila, I'm listening to you, and if I'm being honest, it just breaks my heart to hear you saying that you're skipping meals. Because
Okay. I'm going to just call spade a spade real quick. I'm going to just call spade a spade. Listen, man, I know they got the sad music and all that. And some of this stuff, you just got to understand it is what it is. She definitely does not look like. Well, here's what I'll say. I'm going to keep it focused on what she can control. Because you're coming on here and you're saying you can't afford groceries, but yet you live in the Bronx, New York. And you're living off your Social Security is what it seems. Because it sounds like you're not going to work. So, listen, you're 81 years old. I understand. But now you have to be able to strategize your Social Security more effectively and possibly whatever else you're trying to live off of. And I don't think you're going to do that effectively in the Bronx, New York. You live in the most expensive state in the United States of America. And you don't think that could be a potential problem? Before we start blaming other things, because you're going to get this fixed amount of money every month. That's why a lot of retired people like to go and move to other parts of the world where the cost of living is very cheap because the amount of money that they get is fixed. So if you're choosing to stay in New York City for whatever reason, whether it's your friend group, whatever, guess what? Your friends might have made better decisions in their youth to be able to prepare them for retirement. Your friends might still be with their husbands. So they might have 2 Social Securities coming in, and they might have retirements. Because we still have to understand too, 81 years, no retirement. No retirement. People, and we see how people live. Be real. When you look at the average person on just walking down the street, does it seem like they're focused on retirement? Does it seem like they're preparing for retirement? Does it even seem like that's a priority? Or does it seem like that festival that they got to go to next weekend is a priority? So it's easy to just put some sad music on and start acting like this is someone else's fault. But I'm real big on personal responsibility. And ultimately, when you're young, and at one point she was young, it is your job to be able to make sure that you're securing yourself for the future and that you're doing everything in your best interest in order to make sure that can actually sustain and happen. And right now in the present, I see a very clear opportunity for you to be able to fix this. FYE or FYI, you need to leave New York. You need to leave New York.
you feel like you have to.
Well, you adjust, and if you have to maintain You have to feel strong inside. And you have to be able to make the adjustments.
What Shila is going through is not unique, as Pix 11 has been reporting for the better.
See, they better be glad I'm not a news anchor. He just sitting there like, yeah, it's been hard, huh? I'd have been like, well, are you going to leave New York? Ma'am, what make you think you get to live in New York? No, ma'am.
Better part of a year now. Under the watch of the Trump administration, there have been several changes to the federally funded SNAP program. The Congressional Budget Office and the USDA, the federal agency that funds SNAP.
Because remember what they said. She don't have no kids. Let's be honest. She's divorced. She never had any kids. So what's keeping you in New York? Nothing. She just want to be in New York.
Both cite an expansion of the able-bodied work requirement policy that now includes people up to 64 years old, veterans, and people experiencing homelessness, a cap to the annual increase of the maximum monthly SNAP benefit, an increase in state contributions toward administrative costs, in addition to other changes, including removing a routine expense like internet access from the list of eligible deductions. According to the CBO, the combined effect of all of these changes.
All of that stuff that they just listed off was unrelated to our case study today. They said 64 years old, she's 81. She gets the benefits. And listen, I take some of this stuff with a grain of salt because we've never been more divided as a country than we are today. So you got to understand, a lot of things are definitely politicized. And as you know, I try to stay out of the politics right now on my channel. But I will just call the elephant in the room. I wouldn't be surprised if some of these things are smear campaigns. Some of these things are drip smear campaigns. Because that's how you smear people now. In this new generation, the way you smear people isn't to make those corny commercials where you're like, John Smith, he hates kids. You know when they used to do those sleazy commercials where it's just clear you're just talking ish about your political opponent? No, now you want to do it slowly. And then what do the people like to do now in order to slander someone that they don't like? They create documentaries. And this is very much documentary style. And that is how, in this time, a lot of people like to smear people's reputation. Because I'm going to be honest. You can say all wrong information, but if you put it in documentary format, you can make it seem informative and seem right, and you can actually change people's perceptions of people. Documentaries are the new form of propaganda. And again, I'm gonna just go ahead and call the elephant in the room. She definitely looks like, if you say the name Trump, that she's gonna have a visceral reaction. So we definitely know what side she's on. And I'm not saying whether I'm not being political, but I'm just saying you have to identify that, and you have to understand that this may be more of political content in order to sway things one way or the other. And so I'm just looking at it through that lens. And so that can also mean that some information and some divulged information can also be exaggerated a little bit as well. I wouldn't be surprised, because now they're even talking about stuff that's unrelated to the case study that we're actually looking at. And I just like to get the information.
Changes over the next several years will lead to roughly 2.7 million fewer people receiving SNAP benefits.
Do you like the Bronx?
I love it.
But to figure out what went wrong in Shila's case, we had to dive deep into the official 576-page SNAP sourcebook. Starting on page 308, section 11, budgetary method, part A, paragraph 3. It states in order to determine total net income, you must also include the total unearned income. Shila's gross Social Security income falls into this category, a seemingly minor but clearly critical calculation that led to a drastic reduction in her monthly benefit to just
Hold on, fam. Hold on, hold on,
$24
hold
a
on, hold on,
month.
hold on.
During her hearing,
You already told us this. See, they're putting this music and they're bringing up paperwork in order to reveal a fact that we already know. And honestly, it's not that big of a deal. Listen, we get it. They factored it. He's like, we found the key. You already told us. They factored it off her gross income and not her net income. And so it cut her benefits because it showed that she made too much gross, even though that's not necessarily what she takes home. But I think we have more because this is free money. They're making it seem like they're cutting something that she's getting. No, they're cutting free benefits that she gets in addition, supplementary, because SNAP stands for supplemental nutrition. Now, I agree. I think she should be able to get benefits. But if you're since we're gonna make this whole gross net thing an issue, I would love to see if this news anchor also did this in regards to alimony and also did a story in regards to child support. And I want to see you get some brothers on here where they're talking about, yeah, and the judge said I got to pay child support based off my gross income and not my net income. I want to see you, man. I can listen. It will be a line of brothers ready to tell you about how the gross income, net income discrepancy in America is horrible. Let's go ahead and just let's reveal this whole thing. But see, then I think even in her case, if she was getting alimony or something, and then they brought that up, and that she's like, no, let's keep it on Snap. Let's not talk about my alimony that I get. That's in that case, I like the way that the gross net income dilemma in America is. But when we talk about Snap now, I want more free money on that side. We just got to be honest. This has always been a thing, and I've never seen them making a big deal. But now when we're talking about free subsidized money, all of a sudden there's an issue with the gross income, net income dilemma in America. Now, if we're going to talk about it, let's talk about it the way that it is across every vertical. Let's not just isolate it and silo it right here.
Shila tried unsuccessfully to argue her monthly benefit calculation should have used her net Social Security payment after her allowable deductions. But the state commissioner overseeing her appeal hearing disagreed and ruled, quote, the agency's determination as to the adequacy of the appellant's SNAP benefits is correct. A single sentence decision which has ushered in a harsh new reality.
I weigh 102 pounds.
Do you attribute that weight loss to you not being able to put enough food on your table to eat?
Absolutely.
And that's a result of this SNAP reduction?
Yes. Yes, I absolutely do. Because I can't buy, I need nutritious food. And I'm doing my best to do that, but obviously it's not working.
And several hard decisions.
There are certain things that I'm doing that I probably would not have done before.
Such as?
Well, I'm trying to sell things, you know.
Ask the question, reporter. Have you thought about leaving New York City? The Bronx? She's in the city. Ask the question, reporter. Because she's saying she done tried everything. And in my opinion, that's the most obvious thing to do. People don't want to ask the hard questions. Ma'am, you have a fixed income. You could, I would be looking at her like, well, ma'am, this is really actually very optimistic right now because you have a fixed income and it sounds like you're not that far off because she's probably getting some other money from somewhere else or pulling from somewhere else that she has money stashed away, but she probably just has to allocate it in a certain way to be able to get her through the rest of her years because she doesn't have any extra income coming in. So it's actually a very great situation because shit, ma'am, if you're making it in New York, you can make it anywhere. We just need to get you out of New York. But he's not solving the problem. And see, that was also an indicator that there might be more political things going on, because that's the obvious, that is the obvious recourse in this situation in order to solve it. But nobody's saying it. And I'm sure y'all are smarter than me. So if I can come up with it, why aren't y'all coming up with it?
Oh,
Like what?
well, like jewelry my whole lifestyle is different now. It's material stuff, you know.
Shila, let me ask you, what happens when you run out of things to sell? Have you thought about that?
No, I haven't thought about that.
Shila is now understandably and terribly preoccupied.
He's asking victim questions. And from my experience, when you give certain segments of people an opportunity to be a victim, they're going to take it every time. I would have answered that question completely different myself, because I'm not a victim. But of course, when you run out of things to sell, then what happens? I don't know. You're going to have to move. What you mean? He'll ask all these victim questions. He won't ask, have you ever considered moving from New York?
I spend most of my day trying to find a way to get money, to sell things. You know, you work hard all your life. And this is it's a slap in the face. I think it's unforgivable. It makes me actually sick to my stomach.
Sick, but not discouraged enough to the point where she's giving up.
Did you ever think that you would be at this point in your life,
No.
81 years old, retired, trying to scramble to find food to eat?
No, I always played by the rules, and I'm sure a lot of other people are in the same boat. I consider myself lucky in a lot of ways, because I'm able to speak to you, Jay, you know, and to let people know how it's affecting me and everybody else.
My SNAP benefits got cut off months ago. I'm a single mom. I have teenagers in my household, and I learned how to feed my family with the limited budget that I have. And if you stay for this video, I'm going to tell you how to do it too. First things first, stop buying snacks for your kids unless it's absolutely necessary, okay? A lot of snacks are actually just filler food anyway. If you weren't an ingredient household before, you're an ingredient household now. The first thing that you need to do is locate the grocery clearance centers around you. Anywhere that is around you where they have discounted groceries, okay?
Let me say this real quick, y'all, especially about that last situation that we watched, that the main story of today. My thing is, you're mad at regulations coming through. Have you ever been mad at people who are selling their food stamps for 50 cents on the dollar? That's what I would like to see you be mad about and come on and do a news story about, because that should be the biggest slap in the face. When you're saying they cut your stuff because of gross and you don't have enough, they need to be giving you more. But then you got people out here selling food stamps for not even what it's worth, as well as multiple other things. Does it make you mad when you see a 21-year-old or a 20-year-old go and get food stamps who doesn't have any kids? Does it make you mad when people come on here and proclaim that they're having kids in order to get more benefits? Because these are the reasons why things needed to get regulated. You just want things to just stay unregulated, where people can do whatever they want and where the floodgates is open. See, if people were doing the ethical thing, then it would be less people on the program, which would then open up a much larger pool of funds. But because we have to disperse it so widely because everybody feels like they should get it, well, now that can also have contributed to why you get less and why they have to just go off your gross income, and why they're not able to just open the floodgates for you, for individuals who actually need it. Again, I don't think that we should down the hill if she shouldn't get the benefits. at 81 years old. But again, you're living in New York. So that's one thing. And then I feel like you have misguided anger because there's people defrauding it, taking up space, taking up benefits where it could then go directly to you. That should be where the anger and the frustration comes from, in my opinion.
Luckily for me, TikTok marketed the grocery clearance center that's located in Dallas, Texas, local to me, and they have been an absolute godsend. If you or anyone you know has a Costco or a Sam's Club membership, y'all should actually go there together because you're going to get your
Hey, I was good. So don't look now, but the holidays are upon us. And as you know, they are trying as hard as Hercules to end SNAP benefits for about 42 million people. Let me rephrase that. 42 million men, women, and babies, y'all, are at risk of going hungry. One more time for the people in the back. 42 million flesh and blood people, citizens of this country, could be left to starve just in time for the festivities. The funny part about this is a lot of you who support this decision thought that it was only going to hurt a particular demographic or a certain group of people, but not you. Boy, were you wrong. The reality of it is it's going to hurt everybody, including you, in ways that you haven't even thought about yet. By the way, my videos are for people who kind of like to use their brains a little bit. If that's not you, I understand. I won't hold it against you. You can scroll past, or you can stay and learn something. Now, let me be clear with you. When we cut SNAP benefits, contrary to popular belief, it's not just poor families or black people or immigrants who suffer. It's our entire country, including you. Well, how's that? I'm about to tell you right now, so lock in. Hunger doesn't just live in your empty refrigerator. It lives in the healthcare system. It lives in our school systems. It lives in the economy. Let's talk about your health for a minute. When people lose access to their food assistance, they don't stop eating. They might eat less, but they don't stop eating. But they do eat worse. Cheaper food, processed food, bullshit food. It'll fill your stomach, but it is literally shortening your life with every bite, actively making you sick. But that's what they want. That's how we get more diabetes, more hypertension, more obesity. Follow me? You got kids that can't focus. You got old people getting sicker. You got parents out here working 2 and 3 jobs trying to figure it out and can't even afford a damn salad, let alone the dressing. And who pays for that? Yep, you guessed it, all of us. Through higher healthcare costs and emergency care that could have been prevented with a meal. Now, a lot of folks don't know this.
Hold on. Are you going to address the obesity crisis in America? You know what's crazy? Literally yesterday, I realized I hadn't ate anything yesterday. I forgot to eat yesterday. I promise you. I forgot to eat yesterday. And I probably didn't get a meal until about 10:30 p.m. is when I finally had a meal. And I barely even ate that. It was a good meal. I'm not going to lie. I had some steak, I had some potato wedges, and then I had some what are they called? The things you cut in half. And then you you make sure they're real dark or whatever. But yeah, I finally had a meal at 10:30 yesterday. And before that, let me tell you something. I had an incredible workout. I probably had the best workout I probably had in months. And I didn't even feel it. And I was firing on all cylinders. And I was just fine. What I think people don't understand is actually, if you go without a little bit more and you don't eat as much, your body will actually function a lot better. Now, I'm not saying you need to starve, but there's definitely an obesity crisis. And I would also argue that a lot of people, especially that we see on SNAP, they absolutely do not budget their food stamps in a way where it's healthy. They're buying they're buying junk. They're literally buying crap that they're feeding their kids and that they're feeding themselves with. And so, honestly, had people been allocating their food stamps right to begin with, they should have an incredible dry storage. What you're spending on these junk foods that the prices are already astronomical as it is, to where normal middle class families can't even afford name brand junk foods. What you're spending on that, you could have been storing and stocking up healthier options that don't expire anyway. And again, you could be eating healthier, but that's not what they want to do in most cases. So to talk about that when there's definitely an obesity crisis in America, I think is pretty crazy, to the point to where people don't even want to lose the weight now. Now they have magic pills and all type of stuff you can take where the weight will just come off you, and people getting surgeries, but the problem is still there.
But for every SNAP dollar spent, there's about $1.50, like sometimes more, that is generated in local economic activity. That's groceries, that's warehouse workers, that's delivery drivers, that's farmers, all getting paid. When you pull those dollars out, the small towns, they feel it first. First the stores close up, then the jobs go away. Before you know it, you got nothing. I mean, come on, man, let's be realistic. You can't keep people's stomachs on empty and expect the economy to stay full, man. You just can't do that. And then there's home, just a simple.
No, see, we need to stop subsidizing certain things in the economy, because he's talking about what it's going to cost you. No, it's actually going to save you by them not subsidizing so much. It's actually going to save you in prices on food. The bottom line is, when you subsidize something, the prices go up. Why do you think it costs so much to go to school for people? Because the government subsidizes people going to school. Same with groceries. And it just goes from there. That's pretty much how it automatically happens. When you subsidize something, the prices go up because you've done flooded all this money into the economy. And so now the people who aren't getting those subsidies are going to be the ones who are going to be affected. The people, which he's saying how it's going to affect us, the people who don't get SNAP. Mr. I'm so smart. And so if you are smart, listen to this. Doesn't sound that smart to me. It sounds like word salad and like you're making up your own logic, because these are facts. I don't got to be the smartest person to just be able to know the facts.
Idea having one, because families that have to choose between food and rent usually lose both. Homelessness and hunger are not strangers. They are members of the same family, and every day costs taxpayers more in shelters, more in policing, and more in emergency aid. And let us not forget about our children. Try going to school and trying to learn something on an empty stomach. Try focusing on reading when you didn't eat dinner last night. Try working out a problem on the board when your stomach is screaming so loud everybody in the room think you a ventriloquist. These are the facts. Hungry kids, they test lower, they act out more, and they drop out faster. But maybe that's what they want, because think about it. When those same hungry, sleepy, unfocused, unmotivated kids grow up, what do we call them? Yes, I'll take unskilled labor for 100. But these kids, man, they were.
You know what's crazy? If we go off his preface, people lose their SNAP benefits and they're just helpless. There's just nothing they can do. They're helpless. They don't get taken care of, and they just automatically become homeless. They don't have any they don't have any say in the matter. Man, we're talking about whole sentient beings. What are you talking about? If you decide to let that happen to you, that's you letting it happen to you. By the way, your kids didn't just happen to you. You did that. That was a decision that you have to take care of. You don't get to just completely reserve yourself and take yourself out of it and say, well, I'm not getting taken care of anymore, so I'm just going to let life happen to me and my kids. No, you got to figure it out, and you got to be able to do, and you have to be willing to do whatever it takes. Again, you're a whole sentient being. Why can't you do this? You have a brain just like anyone else. You have a body just like anyone else. But to just completely reserve the fact and act like, oh, cause happened and then effect happens, like somebody doesn't have any effect on whether or not that actually happens. Man, they need to do what it takes to be able to make sure that they can take care of their situations and their responsibilities that they chosen to take care of. I hate when people don't ever put any responsibility on the root cause, and then all of a sudden it's just, well, you would let this happen. But we skipped the whole beginning where they allowed it to happen to themselves by making the decisions that created the situation to begin with. Y'all, we're going to leave it there for today, though. It's going a little over. If you could like the video, I greatly appreciate it. It only takes a second, and it actually helps out more than you know. And also, if you could hype the video. Hype is a new feature that YouTube offers where it helps smaller content creators like myself. And basically, when you hype, it actually pushes us to the extent that it pushes the larger content creators. So you just press the hype button and it shows the points. And since I'm a smaller creator, a smaller channel, we actually get more points. And hype was designed for smaller channels, so that's why. But if you come across a video and you don't see the hype button, then it's probably been over 7 days, and hype usually vanishes after 7 days. So it's usually best practice if you want to hype to just go ahead and hype while the iron is hot. And then also, if you want to become a member of the channel, join buttons on this video. And what becoming a member of the DXU family will come with is you would get badges next to your comments. So whenever you leave a comment, people will be able to see you're a member, as well as you would get early access to content, as well as exclusive content that's not available for everyone else on YouTube. So again, if you want to become a member, join buttons on the video. But until then, I'll see you in the next video.